Welcome to Empirical Pea Pod. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. If you could, please subscribe, follow, share, like, comment, whatever the hell happens when we do these things. I'm your host, Tim Day. Let's get to the show.
Luckily, his litter box is behind you. Luckily, he
has
took a
to come
shit
by.
right before you got here. I was like, oh, good
She's
job.
going to have to talk to me then. Because I'm blocking his toilet. All right. We are live now. Where the hell are... Oh, we're in Ottawa.
Yes, we are.
With
Weirdly.
Liz Rediger, which is insane just to even catch you in Illinois. I feel like it's a secret, which is definitely the way to travel.
A little bit. Yeah, not intentional secret, but yeah, I guess. Just come in and do my thing and get out.
Yeah, what brought you guys to Illinois particularly? Just to see some people? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very close to my family, my parents, my niece and my nephew. And then Ronnie is not as close to his family. Right. He's close to them, but he's not as needy with them, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But he, we were talking about before we started, he hasn't been here in 5 or 6 years. So his was definitely overdue. So
yeah, that's a long time.
And then we had just this empty month in between. We were in Arizona, and then at the beginning of September we have to be in Denver. So it was just this empty space in which we were going to go back to Mexico, but we were go put the work in.
Now, in case I don't want to dig too much because we're going to come back to this. We're Tarantinoing it now. We're starting at the end, and we'll work our way to the beginning. Okay. When you say we have to be in Denver, what does that mean? For what?
For work. There's a gem show in Denver.
Oh, okay.
The second biggest gem show, in the U.S. is Denver.
Oh, that's awesome, actually.
I actually kind of hate it there, but
the stuffiness and kind of the pretension of Denver, it's beautiful there.
Yeah, I mean, once you get out of the city, it's cool and stuff. I don't hate it as much anymore.
Jay lives out there, but he lives in by Longmont, where it's way far away from the two big cities. Yeah, and it feels these are where the normal people are. Right, and it smells a lot less pretentious.
Yes, I get that.
But we can start at the beginning. Because you went to high school with us. You're a little older.
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
Okay, so actually, first I have to do what I do, which is be a little controlling. Please hijack your podcast for a moment.
A power struggle again.
I have. Nobody is surprised right now.
Just me.
I have two things that I want to say. First of all, obviously, thank you for asking me to do this.
Thank you for doing it. Appreciate it.
I think that it is really cool of you to ask me because, we haven't talked in 10, 12 years. Yeah. Literal, I have a shitty memory.
I've paid attention just via social stuff, what you're doing incredible things that we're going to talk about.
But yeah, I don't think that we've talked since we lived in Boulder Hill and moved away.
I think last time we talked was that a yoga thing, and I haven't done that. I don't know if you could tell I haven't done that in a long time. This is my little depression pouch.
Yeah, so it's been a super, super long time, and I feel and calling myself out here, I wasn't even following you on social media. So I did the little guilt follow request after we had talked about this. I'm oh shit, my bad. But in my defense, my Instagram, which is what I use for social media, it was a work Instagram, so I don't do a lot of personal.
When I messaged you, I was actually this might be her work one anyway, and I'm I don't know if I even have.
There's actually my personal one now. Which is why it took so long to respond because it's the one that I can get away with not being totally on top of all the time. So it took me forever.
And not for nothing, people were hey, if you want her number, I can give you her number, and I'm I was weird about it because I'm if she gives me her number, great, I'll text her. Yeah. But I don't want somebody else to. You
would have definitely had to been hello, this is Tim. You get those people that are hey, what's up? How are you? And I'm I am never responding to you because no.
Especially because I have a tendency to just break the ice on text with just saying yo.
Yeah.
And nobody's going to respond to that.
Yeah. Yes. So I just want to say thank you for asking me, because I'm not like, at least, you know, well, I'm going to say, I don't consider, I'm not like a part of the circle anymore. So I feel like that's very, this is a word, unegotistical of you to just reach out and be human. Which brings me to my second point. Yeah, I love this. I love the intention. Like I said to you in our message, like, I love that it is so simplistic, but so complex at the same time. We have so much going on, and you normally just see the surface. And even if, like, I feel like for a lot of us, we may only know each other from like parties or whatever, and that's not who we are. And I feel like it's very easy to just make a judgment throughout our whole, you know, high school years or 20s, to where we're just like going to parties or going to bars, and you just see that surface of that person. Yeah. And this is just like so enriching, and like you learn so much. And I already told you, but when you reached out to me, and sent the link for your podcast, and I was like, yeah, let me check it out. And the person that you had just had on was Annie. And I had never gotten to know Annie. Again, I had known her from like being at parties or whatever. Yeah, you see her
around town and stuff, right?
So it was like so beautiful, really, to me, to be like, to get to know this person that otherwise I never would have. And I love it. It's so pure but so deep. And something that, like, I have a little bit of big mouth on my social media. I have, like, you know, a bunch of stupid followers and stuff. I love you, followers. And
don't leave.
And I just, especially over the last few years, you know, when people are like butting heads and all these different opinions are coming out, and I just like talked a lot about like humanizing each other. Yeah. And we tend to not do that, period. But we definitely tend to not do that over social media. Sure. And we're just like digital relationships. Yeah. And this type of idea that you're doing humanizes all of us to each other. And that is what we are lacking, and it is what is needed. So I love it.
Thank you.
Okay. You may have your podcast back.
Great. Finally, I can have my show back. Cool. I'm excited about it too. It's amazing to be able to showcase people that I've known have been amazing their whole lives, and to kind of show whatever piece of the world is interested to listen. Yeah. You know, because obviously if I want to be successful, I have to get out of our little group of Oswego fans. But if it only stays there, it's been so rewarding just to show this different side and things of that nature. Like, it's been awesome. It's harder now that I'm back to work. You know, taking the summer off was awesome. Yeah. But you know, it's just really cool. Yeah. Especially like this, because I don't know you that well. Like we have hung out, and you know, and I do pay attention to your life, and I think you're incredible. But that's why like this will be exciting for me too, because I'm gonna be a horrible host. Because I'm going to be like, oh, that's fascinating. Hanging on everything you're saying.
Well, I think what an awesome little, you know, like job that you have here, because you get to be all nosy too into people's lives.
Yeah. I try to push and see what are you willing to tell me?
Yeah. It's awesome.
But you say, so you yes and no went to Oswego High School?
So, yeah. So some people, I also feel like maybe a lot of people may not even actually know me, because I actually did not go to high school with all of you, and I'm a little bit older. I'm a few years older than you guys, and I've always kind of been an asshole. So so there's the right. Yeah. So I'm like, oh yeah, I know. No. No. I didn't mean for that to. Oh yeah, right.
No, it's true. It's fine.
Assholes are the best people.
Yeah, we're honest.
Yeah. This is it. Don't like that. This is it, in my opinion. You know, but I'm an asshole, so I would say that. Okay. So, anyways, okay. What am I supposed to be saying here? Oh yeah. So, I grew up in Oswego. Okay. Born and raised. My parents are still in the house where all the parties happened back in the day.
Wait, is that the house that
you guys played there?
Yeah, I was saying us and Short of All played we lined up all of our gear. And we played just song back and forth.
Oh,
Are you still in that house?
Yep.
That's amazing. That makes me
Good
happy.
times happen in that backyard.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So always, from us we go. But starting in 3rd grade, I was homeschooled.
Oh.
So I actually never went to high school. And not only did I not go to high school, I was really alienated out there in the country. For anybody that doesn't know, that's between like Oswego and Plainfield out in what is still cornfields yet.
That is.
I actually did not start integrating into like the people that became my friends in our circle until I was like 15. I started working at Genoa Pizza.
Oh my God.
You remember
really?
it?
Guy Tiberio works there.
Yes.
Did you work there then? Or are you a
no,
little older than that?
I think I was at a different, I don't know.
There's only 2.
I
There was
can't
the one in
remember.
downtown Oswego.
Yeah, no,
I
I mostly worked at that one. But yeah, I started working there the day that I turned 15. Being that I was homeschooled, I started working full time the moment that I could.
Right.
And could get out of the house. And that actually, the first people that all of you guys will definitely know is Kyle Peeney.
Right.
People would skip lunch at the high school and come over. And,
I mean, it's right there.
Yeah. Well, maybe, I don't know. Did you guys had to skip to go out for lunch? I don't know. But yeah, they would come, and that's how I started meeting everybody. And from there, then I started to go back. That time it was you either hung out and partied at Newcomers or Siler's. So that's how I kind of became friends with everybody. But it was very interesting for me, and it was super, super deep because I got into punk music and culture and everything independently of all of that.
Yeah.
I discovered who the Sex Pistols were when I was 13, so 1993. And it was big. It was big for me because I identified as that already, and I didn't know that there was anything like that out there. So that was like instant, like home for me in a sense. And then when I met people, like period, but let alone like in my town that were kind of into some of that, it was big.
Yeah. I'm curious, I got a thing, or at least I'd be interested in your opinion, since you were homeschooled, like we were joking earlier about being assholes, but really that just means that we're stubborn and what we think applies to us. We're not trying to apply what we think to other people per se, but for us, this is the way it is.
Definitely.
And I'm curious if you think maybe that homeschooling has something to do with that subconsciously, like way back then, because you didn't have a lot of opinions around you, really.
Yeah, oh gosh, that's like a whole episode. I was definitely born the way that I am, like 110%.
Hashtag
like,
born this way.
Yes, hashtag. So, yeah, like definitely this is like who I am. However, I have fabulous parents who were super independent minded, just like organically rebellious, still to this day, who sort of nurtured, I guess, who I am, and always respected the direction that I went. That was always super like, individualism. And then, I think not having to curb that. I would have never made it through public school ever.
Yeah, they kind of grind it out of you as much as possible.
And I'm ungrindable.
Right. You got kicked out probably.
I would have definitely gotten kicked out.
I feel like you're very mouthy.
Tim, where would you get that idea? I'm just really dead set in the way that I feel, and I'm not going to compromise it. I respect other people and whatever, and, am totally happy for other people to be who they are, but I will be me just the same.
Yeah.
So I like, and it's uncompromisable to a fault. It has created a lot of strife in my life.
Yeah.
And there has been times that I have tried to curb that, unsuccessfully. And I wish that I would have never tried to curb that because it's who I am.
Yeah, it feels like a compromise of who you are as a person. Like,
yeah. But definitely, actually, through the times probably where you knew me the best, through my early 20s, was where I tried to curb who I am the most. Because it was also weird. Oh, and this is also another totally separate topic. But
we're going to plant a bunch of seeds, and then over the next few years, we'll do a bunch of episodes.
Okay,
and we'll sow those seeds.
Like... Yeah, I was very, like punk, just punk-minded. And like, I don't want to, like, I don't know, be, like toot my own horn sort of thing, but real punk,
Sure.
Not, sorry, all of you anti-flag fans.
Man, up until recently, I loved Anti-Flag so much.
But not anti-flag punk who, sucks the government's dick, sort of thing.
There's an interesting thing you just said.
But uses, anarchy signs and all of this shit. Not that, but the real philosophies of purely just feeling like such an individual, and I feel like I keep touching. And it's just like, again, it's like just organically, like just
I think
different.
More of it is probably built on the crux of like anarchy, not when people think of stereotypical anarchy where it's like chaos. Anarchy is just another system like anything else.
Sure.
It just means that we take care of ourselves, we take care of each other, and we don't need some governing body in our business.
Yes.
Like that's
purely. Yeah.
That's what it's supposed to be.
Yes.
It's just been turned into something ugly.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Which I think makes sense. I'd be curious what you think would be, because I can understand the lines that you're drawing about an anti-flag. It's the same thing you can say about somebody like Michael Moore who makes a documentary with money provided by the people that he's documenting against. So I'm with you.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely gets sticky. Yeah.
Where is that not a thing?
Right.
I guess like if you find extreme DIY, like real hardcore DIY is probably the only spot. And they're not going to ever make money because the money is the gross part.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, and when I sit here and say real punk, I mean, I'm really talking about the feelings and just the...
Yeah, you're talking about like the attitude. It's not a scene. It's not a specific music.
Right.
It's an attitude. It's a way of life.
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, it gets... Yeah, not to go into a whole different direction, but I definitely... will use capitalism where I need to, and to use some of the use the government where you need to. But I try to create independence and responsibility for yourself, and that right there is just start setting stepping stones for purely being independent and responsible for yourself.
Responsibility is a big one too. Like, you have to take responsibility for your actions, take responsibility for your life. Like, because a lot of the stuff that'll come up, even when we talk something as simple as like traumas that we've been brought up, because we all have them. Mm-hmm. But at some point, you either decide to be a victim your whole life, or you take responsibility for at least what your part of what you can do.
Yes.
Do you want to keep going down this route that hurts, or do you want to try something else? And I get it, like it's ebbs and flows for the rest of your life, but I will always try something new because at least it has the prospect of being better. I've done this other way so much, it hurts.
I love it. Yep. Totally on board with that. Yes, to the point where I'm even like addicted to that philosophy that you just threw out there, like to where I have to make myself stop progressing, sit with things more. Whereas I think a lot of people tend to be the opposite. They have to make themselves kind of go out and do more.
Right.
And I have to stop myself.
You have to sit and marinate for a little bit.
Yes. I don't like to marinate. No.
It can be tough, like especially if you're not used to it. Like it can be jarring for sure.
Yeah.
So you homeschooled all through high school?
So yes, thank you for bringing it back there, Tim. You're doing an excellent job. We just like went like God only knows where.
I love tangents though so much.
Yeah, well, I mean, shit, you know, life is so complex. It's hard to like carry it in that linear fashion without being like, oh, and then there was that and that.
Let's spiderweb the shit out of it.
So yeah, so where were we?
So you were homeschooled all through high school, you said?
All through high school.
So you kind of met everybody organically just through working stuff. Did you go to college then?
I tried.
Yeah.
I tried to go. I did
it had to be
like 2 semesters.
Crazy to go from homeschool.
Oh yeah.
To then like a structured, like I'm sure you're like your parents. You said your parents are incredible. I'm sure it was somewhat structured and made sense and like definitely this is school. This is home.
Yeah.
But going to a college had to be so different.
Yeah. I hated all of my professors. I thought they were stupid. And yeah, I went for like literally 2 semesters. I would make Ronnie come with me and like sit on the floor underneath my desk.
So before we move on, when did you meet Ronnie?
I was 16 and he was 17.
Okay, so that was you were just coming out of the house.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
I'll say you met
we
man
actually,
and we're like, that's it, I'm done.
Is it? I don't know, if I yell to you, I don't know, he might have his earphones on. We in July, if you count, of course we've had our breaks and everything over the years and this, that, and other thing, but if you count when we got together back then till now, we have been together for 26 years, I think it is.
That's crazy.
It's stupid crazy.
Yeah, it's almost too long.
I know, I understand this. Okay, but anyways, so yeah, Tim, where were we?
Wait, you tried college and he would sit under your desk.
Yes, okay.
Because it was so painful.
Yeah, so I tried college a little bit. I was kind of going into the idea of a sociology type degree. Because I think that the behavior of people is very interesting, and I also have a huge humanitarian side. So that was my angle, and I quickly realized that it just wasn't gonna happen. So from there, I floundered, did a little bit of floundering. I had a shit ton of really, really, really weird jobs. I drove forklifts. I worked in an insurance office. That was fun for a minute because I could be this weird person that wore office outfits.
Sure. I feel like it burns out fast.
Oh, it burned out really fast.
I've driven a forklift a lot in my life. Always a great job. Pays decent and you can always do it. Yeah.
The people at the warehouses, however.
People at the warehouses are something.
They are.
They're good people, but they're a little off.
Yeah.
I'd rather deal with them than insurance people.
It was definitely a clash of neither one being optimal. So yeah, weird jobs. I don't know. It's just kind of finding my way and exploring. I don't know. What did I do after that? So at some point, I think that, so my sister did hair, and she got me a job at a salon at the mall, and
Mario Tricoci.
At some point, no.
Ladies are so mean.
At some point, I decided that I could do a better job than most of the hairstylists.
I'm starting to see a theme develop here.
And guilty, honest to a fault, like I said. And but it's true. My God, people are terrible.
Well, they get as good as they're willing to get.
Yeah,
and then they never want to. Yeah, that's it. It's working, so why should I try?
Yeah. So yeah, that's when I went to hair school, and that's when things started to go differently. And that was, I'm trying to tie this into when people might when I hung out with all of you guys a lot, I think that was probably, that was my early 20s. Yeah.
Yeah, and it might even be sporadic. I know a lot of us, the biggest times were like when all the bands were playing, right?
Yes.
Like, because there's always something. Every weekend there was a show.
Yeah.
There's always stuff after parties. Like there's always something to do. But our last show was 13 years ago.
Wow.
In September, our last show was 13 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
So it's like.
And what was your last show?
Our very last show we did at Howie's. Just because it was local, and cause before that we had played the Double Door earlier that
was
month.
Howie's the one in the corner thing of that shop? Okay.
Yeah, but it's insane how much time's passed. Like, because I'm like, dang, we were still in our 20s then.
Yeah.
So our 30s have just been a blur of nothing.
Oh no.
Well, it's weird though, like because like you meet people and you're like, oh, if you would have. I don't like the idea of being like, oh, if you would have known me when. Yeah. But I also really liked making music, which I still like. I do to an extent. I just haven't in a while. Yeah. I've been focused on this, but I still play with Guy, my friend Dave and stuff. And I went out to Colorado for a while and jammed with Jay and some guys out there. That was amazing. Yeah. His wife is a bass player now. Okay. But yeah, so how did you? When did you moved to LA at some point? Okay,
so oh shit. Let's see. I have a horrible memory. All right. So I wanted to leave Oswego forever.
Yeah, right.
Literally
most of us do.
Since
and
I was
most
born.
Of them live in Boulder Hill.
Oh no, gosh.
Now they
Sorry,
love anybody who does loves it.
Boulder Hoodians.
Yeah, I'm not. They get so mad at me for talking shit because I think Boulder Hill's a dump. But if you love it, you love it, and that's great. If you like it, awesome. We actually drove through
since we've been back, and I was actually surprised at how nice it still was. But maybe I'm used to like LA being a fucking shithole.
That probably makes sense. Yeah.
So everything else compared to that looks clean. But yeah, I was kind of impressed with the hood. Yeah. Like, okay. But yeah, so I had wanted to move away forever, and I think finally, okay, so we've been gone for just about 10 years, exactly. So our plans, Ronnie and I's plans, were always to move to Southern California because of the weather, and the palm trees, and the ocean, and of course, music. Yeah. You know. That and East Coast New York areas are music scenes. So Southern California was the plans. However, who was that? Oh God, this is really bad because I don't remember. Okay, I went to Nashville with a few people. And I'm just going to say a few people because I don't remember everybody that I went with, and I don't want to leave anybody's names out. So I went, but from our circle, and for a bachelorette party. And that was about the time when we were like going to like start looking for a place in LA. And I came back and I was like, hey, Ronnie, like, what would you think about maybe going to Nashville as a pit stop? And he was like, okay.
It's definitely on the way to LA.
Yeah. So that's actually what we did. Literally a few months after that, we went and we got a place in Nashville, and we were in Nashville for 2 years. It was really fun. We were like right downtown, like could walk to the bars on Broadway and stuff. So it was just like super energetic and full of life and just lots of stimulating shit going on. I also loved how like small the city was, but there's still so much. It's like us with Chicago. It's like going to Chicago is like a fucking federal ordeal, you know? It's like
it's also one of the bigger cities.
Yeah.
Like Omaha is a big city in Nebraska, but it feels like downtown Naperville.
Totally. Yeah. Yes. Yes. So yeah, I love Nashville. It actually turned out to be like a really great place for us. It was very nurturing to who we were becoming. like Ronnie kind of started to figure out like what direction he wanted to go with music, and that's where my business Organic Punk started forming, was while I was in Nashville. So it was a really, really great place. And I feel like I can't do this and talk about kind of my journey without hitting on one of the biggest things that has affected me my entire life. So during that time, my sister got diagnosed with cancer, and it was a terminal cancer. So during my time there, I started to kind of have to deal with that, come back here, which was nice because it was drivable.
Yeah, that's not too bad.
Can pedal to the metal in 5 hours.
Yeah, right.
And all of that because, I'm very close to my family.
Yeah.
So that all happened during that time, and that started to obviously like take effect on me and form
physically
form me into different version of myself.
Sure.
But anyways, keep on moving. We did 2 years, and then we were like, okay, like totally had enough of it, like needed the ocean. So we were like, let's go to California we go. So we did a fun thing in between Nashville and California. We were happily homeless for 5 weeks. We put all of our stuff into a U-box, and we went to Southeast Asia for 5 weeks and did Cambodia and Thailand and Bali and Indonesia, and almost died from the heat, and the hottest heat ever. And then we came back to LA and started that journey, which was
so did you have a house set up then, or an apartment or whatever?
No.
Or you just kind of rolled into town and like, we'll get it?
Oh yeah, we just
okay.
I like to just kind of go for it. It's funny because I'm a Virgo.
Your birthday is it coming up then, or did it just happen?
Yes, it is coming up.
I say it's got to be within the next few weeks here.
So yeah, I guess that's a little anti-Virgo personality.
Yeah, but then we got to be like, all right, well, what's your rising sign? Where's your moon?
Oh God, all that. Who the fuck knows? I don't know. I definitely don't know about all that.
Yeah.
So we, oh my gosh. I don't know. Should we dive into the California thing? Do we have any circles that we need to do? Circles?
The only thing the only caveat that we'll go to when we get there is that if you're willing, I would love to talk about your particular experience with your, endometriosis.
Yeah.
But just because it's come up with a few people that I've known.
No shit.
And it is so fucked trying to get anything done.
I will talk about that right now. Like,
where does that happen in your life where that
that happened my entire life.
So you've always dealt with it.
Yes. And thank you so much for bringing this up, because this is like, I want to scream this shit from the rooftops.
Yeah, it's insane. That is what I didn't know any of that about you, and I was reading it on an old story, and I was like, this is not the first time I've seen this. Like, I can't believe that this is still a thing.
Yeah.
Like, well, I've had friends who are literally like, hey, this is hurting me. I need this stuff gone. And they're like, well, you're only in your 30s. Well, I'm done having kids. Well, you might meet a man that wants kids. Did you fucking hear me?
Yeah.
I'm done.
It's mind-blowing.
It's insane.
Yeah. So, okay. So rewind to my childhood. So along with the homeschooling, my upbringing was very unique, especially back then, being born in 1980 in the suburbs, far suburbs in the Midwest.
You said you spent your whole life in Oswego?
Yeah.
So like you were born in Oswego?
Well, Geneva, but yeah.
Okay,
the hospital was in Geneva. It wasn't, out back in the field at my parents' house.
I remember I moved to Oswego in 94.
Oh no, I've been here.
Yeah, and it was still so small, so I couldn't imagine 14 years prior. To, to me, it's like, it's insane to think that it even existed. That's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, it really hasn't changed that much, I guess. But yeah, it definitely was smaller.
Yeah, there's a lot more shit packed into it now.
Yeah, the slot thingies. Dude. What's up with the fucking slot places?
There's a lot of alcoholics that just want to gamble anywhere. Like anywhere.
That was like the weirdest thing to me because I was just here quickly over last Christmas and I feel like, I don't know, you know, it's winter out, like I'm just like trying to like just get through this experience of being here. Yeah. So I'm not very observant, but I feel like there's just like, I didn't notice that last time. So that was really weird. Yeah. Anyways, so along with the homeschooling, other strange upbringings was just, I was basically raised outside of societal norms in general. And which I would like to also, when people criticize the ways that I am.
Do people do that?
Yes, people do that. Oh. Yes, people do that, Tim. People have always done that.
I live in a little bubble where I'm a sack of shit anyway, so I'm used to it. Like, if somebody gives something positive, I'm like, you're lying.
Right? Yeah. That's terrible. That's how low the expectations are.
It is terrible.
But yeah, like, you know, obviously it's worse on social media, but yeah, there's also always been a problem of the, you know, like, you know, what, you know, like, you're so weird, and why are you trying to be that way? And it's like, bitch, no, I'm not trying. Yeah. Like, I, like, grew up this way. Right. Like, and a lot of it is become popular now. Yeah. Which is super weird to me. And actually, one of the circle back here that we need to go, when we were talking about early 20s and how I kind of like lost myself a bit through those times, that was the reasoning for that, was because ways that I had always been, and I was largely in the circle that I had known, basically this existence here, as I'm like, you know, looking around. You know, there wasn't people like me. Yeah. And through this popularity thing of, you know, people started to become punk and dye their hair colors. And I had previously been blacklisted and treated like fucking shit for doing that. You know, it was, you know, this is, hopefully you won't get mad at me for using this word, but there's like the phrase that I was punk when it was called "Hey faggot." Sure. And that's like the truth. Like it was vile, like up until pretty darn close to like 2000. Yeah. And I mean, you were called a druggie when like I didn't do drugs. You know, a loser, low life, just like piece of shit. Like kids' moms would like, you know, clutch them away from you like you had fucking, you know, a disease and shit. You were treated like you were gonna steal shit every time you went into a store. You know, all that kind of stuff. And then the music, you know, music is such a huge identity thing. And when you're going to these little small clubs in the city and there's, you know, 25 people there, and then next thing you know, who are all these fucking people that like my music? You know, that whole weird thing. And then
that thing sometimes I have a particular want to fight that sometimes, just because I agree where things become mainstream and they build these things in the studio to take advantage of that.
True, yeah.
Which is 100% a lot of artists. Yeah. Even artists that I want to like a band like Paramore. She originally was supposed to be a pop star, and she's like, I want a band. So they just gave her a band, and we're like, all right, then you're a band. She's still built in a studio. Like, that doesn't make her any less of anything. Yeah. But you can have that kind of, okay, what would you have been like trying to do this out on your own and didn't have a studio backing before anything, and how many people don't get the opportunity. But at the same time, I want people to be successful.
Yes.
And that's where it kind of becomes that catch-22. It's
very difficult.
Yeah, it is. Because like, you love something, and then when it's big, you're like, I was there when...
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not that person. I mean, I'm the person that wants to hate on, like, bands getting big, but I'm not going to, because I do understand and I do want them to obviously be, sustainable.
Some of it, like, is definitely, like, I loved the Rise Against for so long. Mm-hmm. And I still love Rise Against, but, like, I would never go to a show again. Yeah. One, the tickets are outrageous. Like, I'm used to spending $10 to $15 and being able to go and see them, like, right face to face with them. Right. As opposed to, like, now it's wall to wall. I'm not mad at the young kids.
You don't want to hang out with the 13-year-old girls, Tim. Okay.
I don't. Like, but at the same time, am I just not allowed to go to shows now? Like, what the...
Yeah. We're too tired anyways.
That's true, yeah.
Let's call it like it is.
It's like I watched Lollapalooza on Hulu. Oh. Like, this is all I can handle.
Yeah. Fests, absolutely not. Unless I'm, like, on the side of the stage and can exit to a VIP air-conditioned tent with water. Yeah. No can do.
Somehow you're always pulling the VIP treatment.
That comes with the LA story, yes.
Great.
I have lucked out. Definitely. But yeah, so it's weird. It's just, I think that maybe it's an unpopular thing to kind of like have, throw out these ideas about, all this, punk stuff. But I mean, if we're just totally being honest here, like it was weird. And that's what happened to me. That was my experience. And, it's how I felt, and can't bash somebody for how they feel, authentically. It was what I went through. Right. And some people, if they didn't go through it, they will not understand it, and they may try to tell you that it wasn't like that, but it was.
Well, see, that's the thing, though, which is, we're still in the infancy, but nobody should be telling you how you felt is incorrect. Even if they had a different experience going through the same thing. Yeah. It's just like, if you raise two kids the exact same way, they're going to come out two different people.
I wish I could remember the name of this book, but I read a book that it was just a beautiful story, and a fictional story, and the whole premise of the book was relativity, and it was just the whole thread. Yeah. So it just permeated you without you quite realizing it. It wasn't like you're studying the ideas of relativity. Yeah. No, it just seeped into you. And I absolutely love that book. And that is just stupid to point out because I don't know the name of it. Well, I will try to find it.
Maybe you'll come in as we're going.
The idea of relativity is like one of the most valuable concepts. If you can truly wrap yourself around it, it helps navigate so much.
Yeah, but I also think that it's one thing for people to kind of be coming up maybe with you or a little bit ahead of you while you're going through that and be like, this is a phase, you don't even relate to it, you're a poser. But it's different now to look back and be like, to validate you, that is traumatic. Yeah. Like, if you're part of, or even if you just feel that you're part of something, and somebody's treating you like that, like, that's a traumatic experience. Yeah. And it's definitely having ramifications up until you can hopefully get over it or at least deal with it.
Right. Yeah.
So, like,
obviously, I'm still a tad bit immature.
At least you're not mad about it.
And encompassing some hatred. If any of you are listening, fuck off.
No, any of you particularly that remember being an absolute dickhead?
Well, yeah, I mean, and thankfully, I didn't deal with a ton of it because I did not go to school. Yeah. But Ronnie dealt with a fuck ton of it.
Did Ronnie go to school with
Ronnie
us?
Did, yeah. Ronnie he lived in Aurora growing up and moved to Boulder Hill when he was... Ronnie, how old were you? I don't know, like in junior high. Yeah. And he went to Oswego High. He finally got kicked out when he was a sophomore, I believe. So a little bit is the answer to that question.
Oh, and like right when you guys were meeting, part near.
Yeah, he actually got kicked out earlier that year, I believe.
Yeah.
I mean, he dealt with it a lot. You know, people that would literally beat the fucking shit out of him.
Yeah.
And then a year later are, you know, dressing like him,
Right.
listening to those
Trying to be
bands
that
he was, you know, called all sorts of names for listening
Yeah.
to. You know, it's an age-old thing, and it's like, it's a cycle, and I think that...
It also still happens today is the most tragic part.
Yeah, sure, yep.
Like, working in the junior high, like, I can start seeing the seeds that are going to be a problem in high school, and it's like, man.
Yep. Oh my God, I can't even imagine.
It sucks.
I
Because
don't
the best
think I
I
could
can do is
handle
give
it.
these kids, like, a safe place while they're here, but I've got them for a year, maybe. Like, it's, like... But you can see the resilience, too, because they're going to grow into stronger people. They're not going to compromise. Like, you can see... And that's great. Like, that's awesome.
You have
like,
to.
you're going to suffer through this
keep an eye
bullshit,
on
but you're
that.
going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Like, it just is, it's unfortunate that it has to be that way.
Yeah, it's stupid that it's still somehow, I don't think we'll ever get it together.
I don't think so. I think the best you can hope for, because no matter what, it's going to be that if you have kids, they're raised in places, there's so many different factors into their brain. And even if you have a kid that is a quote-unquote good kid, whatever that means, they're still, if you put something that they haven't seen in front of them, they're going to immediately be like, what is this? Why is this? Not with any kind of malice or anything.
Yeah.
Just a curiosity. But when they see adults putting the malice on the different, that's when they start doing it.
Oh, that was just genius. I love that. That's like just the most simplistic...
Yeah. It is, because kids are not mean.
Uh-huh. Right.
And this is, I've talked with other people about this too. Like, our instincts are not negative, other than to like hunt for food. Like, you can consider that negative if you don't want to hurt animals. But like, as far as human beings, our instincts to me is always to take care of each other and to protect each other and to be nice to each other and to accept each other. Because I don't think it's weird to be around somebody different and say, hey, you are different. This is awesome. Like, tell me about it. This is exciting. We've spent a lot of time in our history pretending we don't have differences. And that's not progress. And also we got caught up in this horrible idea of tolerance. What's tolerance? You tolerate a sore throat when you're sick, but it sucks to have a sore throat. Like, tolerance is not how people should be interacting. Acceptance is how people should be interacting. So we've lost our footing, and I feel like we're just now in the infancy of heading in finally a smart direction where we're accepting everything, everybody. Like, it's a slow process, and it's going to take generations to get there, but I'm excited for 20 years from now with what these kids are doing today.
I hope you are right.
Are you living in cynicism? Do you think it's different? I mean, you've seen different things also.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, what we're talking about. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm a bit cynical, but I do have hope in exactly what you're saying, and it could hopefully go that direction. Right now, I feel like it's a really fucking shitty time in the history of humanity. So, we'll get into that.
But it is, but it depends on what you want to look at, too. Like, it's...
Totally.
Whatever one you want to focus on, because there should always be more progress. And you already admitted earlier you don't like to marinate. Mm-hmm. For you, it should already be where we should be, and I agree. But we're never going to get everybody on board, but we have to get enough people on board that what we're talking about is the norm. Because over the last 4 years, 8 years almost, we've had a lot of setbacks where we're like, oh shit. Maybe we aren't as progressive as we thought.
Totally.
And I feel like that was eye-opening for a lot of people because they thought we were past a lot of this. Yeah. And I think a lot of the rest of us were like, we hoped. We hoped we were. So now it feels like, okay, you are a dying breed. And I think that's what is important to remember, is that is not the consensus. That's a loud minority, and that's on its way out. So if you focus on that, I think it's easy to stay cynical. But I think that there's enough positive. Mr. Rogers used to say, "Look for the helpers,"
yes.
Right? Because they are there, and if you can see that, that's why I always argue with my mom because she wants to watch the news. I'm like, don't watch the fucking news ever.
Oh God!
You're talking about a corporation
please.
controlled by a man with an agenda that dictates what it says.
Yes.
Do not watch the news. It's stupid and it's biased, and it has to be because somebody owns it.
Yep.
Like, so if you want to do something, get on YouTube and just watch Faith in Humanity Restored. Just watch humans helping humans. That's what people are like, and that's still happening out there on a large scale, and that makes that's when I get excited.
Yeah, I mean, I think that definitely, but I think that with so many people living on social media and the algorithm is such a fucking dangerous tool that is warping people's idea of reality.
I do agree with that because at some point we've shifted.
Scary.
We've shifted to those sort of things being our identity instead of having an actual personality.
Yes, absolutely.
We just live and die on these hills of meaninglessness. Like it's silly to me, but we're getting into an off-topic point where we would end up getting in somewhere political, which I'm not afraid of. But
let's do that in a little bit.
Yeah, let's do that in a little bit. Let's get back on topic. We originally were tangenting on to your endometriosis, which has been affecting you since you were a kid.
Okay. So I brought up I went way back in the day and then got distracted by something else. Okay, so my point in going back in the day was to say that one of the ways that I was raised very unique, especially for the time, was that we did not have any sort of Western medicine, aka what most people would know as typical medical care. So we did not use anything. I did not have a primary care doctor until I was till I was 30.
Wow.
I have only taken one medication ever in my life. That was a steroid for an allergic reaction, and that steroid ended up backfiring anyways, so it didn't do what it needed to do.
Double allergic reaction.
Yes, it was. Great story, actually. So yeah, I just came from a very, very unique place within all of that. When I first, so on to the endometriosis thing. I guess I'll start by saying, for anybody that has absolutely no idea what we're talking about, I'll briefly describe. Endometriosis is a condition / disease that is insanely common.
It's uncomfortably common.
Yes. However, almost completely unrecognized by Western medicine care. And it is basically when tissue grows in places inside of you, not on the outside. I don't think so, although it can do crazy things, but in places that it should not grow and just wreaks havoc. So it can fuse organs together, all this crazy shit. So most common, it is seen in the uterus, ovary type situation. Yeah. And it affects women's menstrual cycles, which is how I was affected by it. So when, basically when I first got my period, I don't know how old I was, whatever, let's say 13. It was almost within that first year that I started experiencing oh my God, pain that is, I never have ever seen people experience that. Yeah, I mean, it was literal giving birth, and in some situations, even I don't have children, so it's a little presumptuous of me to compare my pain to women that have gave birth. But you know, you can find many quotes where, you know, worse than childbirth.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was literally like you're dying, like your insides are getting tore out. So insane pain. I would vomit like crazy, diarrhea, totally pass out, like completely lose consciousness.
Like black out from the pain.
From the pain.
Yeah.
I would lose control of my motor skills. I would not be able to talk. I couldn't form sentences. I would drool. Numbness. My legs and arms would go numb. It was horrific. So I grew up with my parents having to assist me with this, you know, and we tried the natural stuff, what we were used to, and nothing would like touch it with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah.
So finally, I think by the time I went to a Western medicine doctor to try that, I was like 18.
So already at least 5 years of like suffering.
Yeah. And not every month because
it's so random, right? Like it flares up. Sometimes it's nothing.
Well, mine was tied to my periods largely.
Okay.
Not everybody's is.
Right.
Some people will deal with it when they're not on their periods and their periods are fine. But mine was tied to my periods, and my periods were like, I mean, I might get 2 a month.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I would go 3 or 4 months without getting one. So that was always fun with work too, you know, like, and they think that you're like making shit up, you know, sort of thing.
I feel like that's a lot of a woman's plight in general.
Oh yeah, so much fun. But yeah, I mean, I was wheeled out of jobs on stretchers and taken to the hospital with this shit. Like, it was insane. So anyways, I'm going to have to, oh, hey, buddy, come on.
Finally, the cat.
He's going to act like we don't exist here. So yeah, I'm going to have to like condense this like crazy. But experience with Western medicine, here's a birth control pill, take this, that'll fix it.
But they use that to regulate your cycle.
Sure.
At least that's their plan.
That's their idea. Which
doesn't necessarily have anything to do with what's actually happening.
Totally doesn't have anything to do with that. And really, I mean, if you're trying to regulate hormones, introducing synthetic hormones into your body is not the way to do it.
Sure.
But totally different topic there.
Right, yeah.
So yeah, here's birth control. Oh, here's an ibuprofen. Like, oh, you dumb shits. You don't think I've tried that already? You know, like, here's every painkiller under the sun. Okay, that's not working either. Then they do exploratory surgery. So they make small incisions and they go in with a little thing and scope shit out. And they say, oh, there's nothing wrong with you.
Right.
That's it. Like, literally done. We're done here. Nothing wrong with you. And they give you literally no avenues to take.
That's the end. For them, that's the end.
Yes. They said, that's their specialists.
Right.
So you think that you're, at least from a Western medicine standpoint, you think that you have done everything that you can do.
Right.
You know, you go through all the steps and you see the specialist, and that's that. So I went through that a few times and different doctors and all of this, and you just get left with nothing.
Yeah.
And then I had tried everything natural under the sun. I mean, every type of, herb and treatment and, different types of natural. Hey, come on! Come on in and see Tim. Come on. I know he might not know you're... Yeah.
Oh, surprise.
This is Buddy. This is our ginger friend Buddy, who is 12 years old. We've had him for, I don't know, Buddy, how long have we had you? Maybe like
Cat travels with
6 years. Buddy has been, of course, to Mexico with us, and he has traveled 15 states with us.
Well, that's awesome.
Sometimes
he has a better life than I do.
Somewhat happily, and sometimes not happily. But yeah, he's literally our buddy. His name could not be more perfect.
That's awesome.
So yeah, just coming up empty, and being told there's nothing wrong with you, or we just don't know what's wrong with you. Throughout all of this time, Endometriosis was not brought up once.
Right.
Didn't even know it existed. So, again, living with this horrifically, it controlled my life. It made me have to take completely different avenues on life than I would have.
So you can't go to work. You can't have a social life. You don't know what's going to happen to you at any time.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, because it would, completely debilitating.
Yeah.
You know, I would not be able to do anything.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it affected, what kind of jobs I could have. The biggest one for me was it affected traveling. Because I wanted to do things with my life, like sort of career-wise and all of that entailed traveling. Some people might be very entertained to know that I actually was in the National Guard. Yes, Miss
Really?
Anarchist.
That's hilarious.
Oh, I got berated by my fucking... hey, adventures. Sometimes I'd be willing to do some
also, if you
shit.
can do good and still not agree with what avenue is
I
allowing
mean,
you to do.
Good luck,
I love
trying
Disney. They're still an evil corporation.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, and I have a visible anarchy tattoo on my back that, my drill sergeants had a real good time with. Yeah. But I ended up I did the National Guard because I wanted to, from the humanitarian perspective.
Sure.
Yeah. It's kind of its intention.
Right.
And also for the adventure and the traveling, whatever. But I thankfully, because I don't know what I was thinking, I thankfully got discharged because of asthma. So thank you, asthma. But even I would have gotten discharged the first time I got my period, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to do Peace Corps, shit like that, just to be able to take me the fuck out of here. Because at that time too, I mean, there was no internet and all these opportunities. Right. You couldn't go and travel with your fucking smartphone. It was really, really hard to go and do shit.
Yeah.
Print out your, whatever it was,
print out
directions. Yeah. At the library, go and print them out.
That's right.
So yeah, it really hindered so many things and directions that my life would take. So finally, and this is what I really, really want to talk about this, is because I found a solution. So it was when we were living in California. So this was just, how many years ago was this? 3 years ago,
so
something like that.
3 years ago, which, apologies, but you would have been 40.
Okay. I've had to face it.
Yeah, but that was 13 to 40.
Yeah, yes.
With everybody being you're fine.
Yeah.
And you keeling over in pain, all the time. That's insane. So finally, somebody in California listens.
So what I actually found, and this is very important for anybody who thinks that this might be them, there is a Facebook group called Nancy's Nook. Oh. Nancy, like a person's name, Nook. And it is a former nurse, Western medicine nurse, who has devoted her life to endometriosis. And she's, I don't know, there's hundreds of thousands of people in this group or whatever. Right. And it is purely an informational Facebook group. It's not people going in there and, talking about, their symptoms and getting support. It's not a support group.
Or their opinions. It's just...
Yes, it's her. She is the only person, or a handful of doctors that she has on there as admins that offer information on this. And the most important thing is there's a document on there that is literally, I'm going to throw out 20 specialists that exist worldwide on endometriosis.
That's crazy when you think about specialists in general. Every hospital has a dozen, and here's something that's so big.
Yeah.
And there's only 20 in the world.
I don't understand. I feel like, why is this not recognized? Because, I mean, if the healthcare system is about money,
sure,
fucking ka-ching, like, there's a bunch of us that have this problem. But I guess, but I don't want to offend anybody, but the idea of Western medicine is they keep you on a cycle within the system. Yes.
Not to cure,
not to cure.
To sustain.
Yes.
And that's why nobody ever looked into it, because if you cure it, then what?
Yeah.
I can give you this Benadryl, or this ibuprofen you never took.
Yep. Just keep on keeping on.
Yeah.
So, through that, I was lucky to find a person on her list that was in Long Beach, which coincidentally we had just moved to San Diego from Pedro, which is like the neighborhood that is right next to Long Beach. But it was fine. I was happy to drive like the 3 hours up the coast.
I hope you made a comment about it, like, you fucking believe this? We were just there.
Yes. But yeah, like, I walked in the fucking door, and like, it was literal, like, so overwhelming, because everything that I had went through, all of my symptoms were instantly acknowledged and accepted. And that was the first time in my entire life, even with natural this, that, and other doctors, that someone had been like, yes, just like, totally, I know exactly what you're talking about, and I believe you.
Right.
And it is called this, and this is what's happening to you, and this is how we can go about fixing it.
Right. Even just having somebody acknowledge you has to be such a huge weight off the shoulders.
Oh my God.
Of just like being validated, being like, fuck's sake, finally.
Yeah, it's maddening.
Yeah.
So I went from that appointment to ultimately having my surgery, which for me resulted in a hysterectomy. That's not always the case with endometriosis, and actually, like, there's false information out there that having a hysterectomy will cure it. No, totally not the same thing. So yeah, I went from that appointment to having my surgery within 4 months.
Wow.
Yes.
So you didn't have to go through any, like, hoopy bullshit either.
No.
Because like I said, I have friends that have had similar things where they try to get parts of their uterus removed, and they can't. Like, you got to write, like, an essay.
Well,
and you have to, there's always somebody gatekeeping that's like, you can't. And that's
the bullshit, like, other side of things that, I was talking about throughout the whole, my whole life. This other side, these specialists, none of that exists. That's not protocol.
Right.
That's these fucking weirdos that are, like, making up their own fucking rules.
Right.
None of that is protocol. I don't know, what is it, when you don't have to go to another doctor before you go to a specialist, an HMO?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I fucking paid out the wazoo for an HMO insurance plan. And for the pure fact, because I wasn't dealing with the whole preemptive runaround. And yeah, I went straight to that fucking specialist. That was my first stop.
Right.
And that was it. That's all that I had to do. And then I had to do, like, some pre-surgery, like, clearances, like, go and, get, I don't know, your vitals checked.
Well, sure,
whatever.
Blood work, make sure.
Yeah.
A general health exam.
But none of it was to kind of pass their weird tests.
Yeah.
It was literal medical tests that made sense.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I went and I got that surgery, which, like, for me included doing the hysterectomy because I'm not having children.
Right.
And I could have went the lesser route and had him just go and take endometriosis out and see if that was enough.
Right.
And then could have went the uterus and everything route after that. But I was just like, man, you just go in there, man, and the vacuum, suck all of it out.
I'm not using it.
Like, I don't need it. I don't want it. So yeah, from that day, I have been 99.9999% pain free.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Mind blowing.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's insane the hoops you have to jump through, like,
yes,
because you didn't have to deal with the bullshit too of a man doctor saying no. Like, my friend literally was told, you might meet a man who wants to have kids. And I'm like, what? A professional in a white coat told you that.
Oh, God.
How is that possible in this day and age?
Lord help me. Yeah. So, I mean, it's really weird because I have, especially like with my work being social media based,
Yeah.
And having a large female clientele, they know a large portion, if not all, of my story. Mm-hmm. And there are people amongst them that I guarantee you have endometriosis, and it's the cause of their own problems. And I even communicate this stuff to them, and it's really hard for me because they're so used to the medical system and being told what is the, this is the way things are and that's the way things are. Right. They do not take what I'm telling them as fact. Yeah. And not in a, like, do your own diligence type thing. No, right. Like, they don't believe it. Yeah. Like, they truly don't believe it. Right. And I'm like, it can be this simple. Right. And of course, there's, not everybody this works for. Right.
Everybody's like got their own unique case.
But largely,
but still,
like, you go to one of these specialists that actually know what they are doing, and this is what their entire career is centered around endometriosis. Right. People travel to these doctors from all over the world. And people can't absorb it as being this simple, and that they've been fucked over all these years. It's really
crazy to me to even think about, because when I think about your business is organic punk, like I know you make jewelry and all kinds of stuff, like, because I also love crystals. When I think of that kind of clientele, that in a general stereotypical sense would be against Western medicine. Right. For them to be like clinging onto it so hard when they're in so much pain,
it runs deep.
Ridiculous. Yeah.
And also I think that there's also like a little bit of like the Stockholm syndrome type thing where people can't quite face what, all of this being like a bunch of bullshit. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's deep and it's scary and whatever. And I get that, but it's so irritating because so this is fun. So I want to help people with this so much that, so Ronnie, it was a collaborative effort, but him, of course, being the music maker of it, created an album, a concept album about my issues with this, called Uterus Eviction, kind of like a little, sort of death metal, play on the title there. And this came about when I was going through those clearance tests pre-surgery, that I went and got an MRI done. Mm-hmm. I had never gotten an MRI done before in my life, and you hear all these horror stories. Most people hate it. Yeah. I loved it. I laid in that thing and I started vibing to all these noises, and it was so inspiring to me.
It is interesting to be inside. Did you have any issues with your tattoos?
Some of my tattoos raised a little bit.
So that, because when I had mine, they're like, if you have any red ink,
it's
got more iron in it. Yeah. And you're going to feel it pull a little bit.
Yeah. I tend to have that problem anyways. That's a whole thing. Bad effects of tattoos. Yeah. Telling myself not to get any more.
Oh, but they're so fun.
It's torture. It's one of those things where you just make the choice. I know it's bad, but I'm just going to act like it's not. Yeah. So yeah, I was laying in the MRI and I was like, this would make a badass fucking like inspiration.
It's such a unique thing that you don't see in the world because the magnet's shifting and the way the tube's designed.
And the noises are literally like no other. Like it's so interesting. And Ronnie was in the parking lot waiting for me. This was in Long Beach, California. And I couldn't wait to get out of the tube so I could run out there and tell him about this. And I go out there and I'm like, I want to make a concept record using the sounds like as a basis, like the undertone, the sounds of the MRI about my surgery and my experiences in general. And he was like, fuck to the fuck, yes. So literally from that moment, we started compiling information, sounds, pictures from all of my different appointments that I was having. And the really gory part was we started to record. I think between that and when I had my surgery, I had 2 periods.
Yeah. And
we recorded, well, he did because I was,
right,
out of it. He recorded me being in pain during my periods. Wow. And it's fucking vile. Like, it's like exorcism shit.
Yeah.
So, we just compiled all of this stuff. And when it was all said and done, he started to turn it into a audio and visual piece of art.
That's funny. I'm fascinated by it. I can't wait to hear it.
It is like the most fucking like brutal, like metal, where they say that's fucking metal. Yeah. This is fucking metal. It's disturbing.
Like, when this goes live, I'm going to link that so people can check it out.
Oh my, okay. Awesome. Yeah, so...
It's probably, you'll have to decide for yourself if you can handle it.
Yeah,
I'm interested
definitely.
in it. I'm sure it's going to be a hard listen.
I shared it on my... Oh yeah, so the cover is my uterus in a fucking
picture,
bucket.
That's your actual
That's
uterus
my uterus.
In the medical bucket there.
I asked the surgeon if he would give me a picture of it.
You got that picture.
I know. I didn't know if he was going to go for it. But they did. It was a robotic surgery, so they automatically, it snapped so many pictures. So everything, all of the imagery is all real imagery from inside of me or from my appointments. Like, it's real shit.
Wow.
And I love it. I think it's a masterpiece, and it's so important for so many reasons. It was, nail in the coffin. Yeah. For me, it makes me feel so proud that Ronnie, as, he's not like man's man, sure, sort of outlook, but whatever, any kind of dude, would put that out in the world. Yeah. And, it's unique, so that was really heartwarming to me. And then also for, exposure about this, this is what this is. People, ask questions, wake up. These are the resources, all of this. So it was really, really, really about it being a PSA.
Yeah. I think that's an important piece too, is sometimes things will have a stigma, or we're told not to say things. Ask about it. Like, it's important to talk about it. That's how change is going to happen. Like, we have to be able to talk about it.
I brought up the uterus in the bucket thing because when I promoted this on my personal Instagram, I put a block, using like a photo app sort of thing. I put like a block over the uterus on the picture and wrote on it, PSA, gory images, don't swipe unless you want to see this. And then the next picture then, or I think it was 2 pictures later, just to, make it safe for people.
Right.
And I got some woman, I don't even know who she was. Some woman comments on my, and we released it on Mother's Day.
Nice.
Just in case it wasn't metal enough. But yeah, I got some woman who just so spiteful was like, thank you for ruining my Mother's Day. And I'm like, wow.
Mission accomplished.
It's why are you you should be celebrating this. This is awareness. Yeah. That's what this is. Right. We do. You're saying, we need to talk about this shit. So
we're still trying to get over a lot of the society builds in this. We have to fight each other.
Yep.
And we're finally, as a people, being like, but why?
Yeah. Yep.
So again, we're at the infancy of so many. I think that's why I'm optimistic. You can catch me, I'm up and down constantly. But genuinely, I feel optimistic as far as I see all the good things. They're small, but one match will burn down a fucking forest.
Yes.
So I'm excited for 20 years from now.
I love that. And have you ever seen the image where it's a whole bunch of matches in a row? and then there's one that's pulled down just a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's like the idea of that is really powerful.
That's a really cool image.
Yeah.
So now it's time, because that covers a big chunk of your life up until the last couple of years.
Yes, it does.
How did we get... we covered how you got to LA, and then down to San Diego.
Oh, gosh. Okay, so LA. LA was extremely interesting.
Yeah.
So I developed my business, Organic Punk, while I was still in Nashville. When I moved to LA, I had thought, oh my God, like my business is going to blow up here.
Sure.
Because
it's more than just jewelry.
So actually now I hardly even do jewelry.
Okay.
So the way that I started it, so many layers here. Okay, so it technically started while I was still living here. I was living in Boulder Hill.
Just starting here.
So I had been teaching yoga at Sense of Samadhi studio in Yorkville.
That was the last time I saw you.
And oh my God, that was eons ago. Holy fuck. And
oh no, we saw each other at Shine, actually. I'm sorry. That was the last time.
Where?
Shine in is that Batavia?
What?
I don't even think it's there anymore.
I don't even remember this.
Yeah. It was a one-off.
Okay. Oh. I think maybe
because Kristen was there, and I think Amy was there even. There was a few people there.
I don't know.
I think it might have been even Kristen's class that we were all just taking.
Okay. Gosh, well.
Yeah. Either way, there was a lot of classes.
Bad memory. So I had candles. Candles was how I started. And I started that because Sense of Samadhi had this little gift shop thing in the studio. And I made my own, like, that was like, you know, the weird little, you know, people in the country in Oswego, we made our own candles when I was a kid too. And so I made my own candles and I brought them in for class while I was teaching. And Terry, the owner, was like, oh, these are great. Like, make some and put some in the shop. And that's how my company started, which is so weird. My company that has now morphed into, I'm still doing it today, but obviously very, very different. So that was the start. Also, while I was at Sense of Samadhi, that was where I credit the first exposure, really, to crystals. During teacher training there, they had some crystal people come in and kind of educate us on the metaphysical side of things, and that's where I bought my first crystals for stupid absorbent amounts. Absorbent? Exorbitant?
Exorbitant.
Oh, well, neither.
You'll get it.
Maybe next time. So exposed to crystals. Then, when I moved to Nashville, I decided I wanted to stop doing hair. That's what I was doing for a living while I was here. And I started doing farmers markets, like events. Nashville's like the biggest fucking thing for like handmade everything. You put made in Nashville on it and people fucking like eat it.
Right.
So it was amazing. And so I started with candles and I was doing some other things at these markets. So simultaneously, I was getting more and more into crystals, and I was like putting them in my pockets, in my bra. I didn't wear a bra a lot of times, so that was turning into an issue. I didn't carry a purse. So I started looking for like crystal jewelry.
Yeah.
And it was awful. It was like awful hippie shit. No offense, hippies.
There's some good stuff. Like,
not my thing.
But your stuff was unique.
Yeah, and I could not find anything that like did not make me like convulse. So I started to like make my own for myself. Sure. And then I started to get asked, oh my God, I love it. Like, where'd you get that? Oh, I made it. Can you make me one? And it fucking snowballed into a full-time business like that. It was crazy. So it started not to do candles anymore because it was never a passion. I didn't really care about it at all.
Probably not driving revenue that much either.
Yeah, I mean, it was okay. I mean, I was making a living.
Yeah.
Well, Yeah, I also did crazy other things in Nashville, which were very exciting. That's when I first started doing stagehand work and started to... We're jumping again. Different timelines.
We're going to tell the story. You guys can sort the shit out. And that's the audience's job.
Sorry. Yeah, like I started doing stagehand work, which I super loved, and
How did you even get into that? Just randomly on accident?
How did I? I did the craziest fucking shit in Nashville.
Yeah.
Like, my job resume was, like, the most bizarre, like, schizophrenic thing ever. And it was just because, like, I have, like, something that I always just say to myself, as simple as it is, why not try?
Right.
And the things that will happen in your life, if you just
behind that, for sure.
If you just try things, is insane, like mind-blowing. And most of it like works out well just purely for the fact that other people don't try.
Right.
They automatically write things off that would never work. I could never do it. But most of the time they just think that, like, that door will never, like, reciprocate to them. I'm not going to ask that. That would never work.
Yeah.
They would never go for that. Those types of, like, ideas and self-talk is what a lot of people tend to think. Right. And I'm like, fuck it. Right. So that's, like, literally how the majority of my stuff has happened in my life. Yeah. Why not try it? I just try it. And I actually have a big fear of, like, not being successful. So it's really funny that I still just try it. I guess that my success rate has been good enough that I'm not too hindered. But yeah, how did that first start? I don't know. I actually have no fucking idea. But it had to have been something totally fucking random.
I presume that's what bleeds, because you're backstage at every goddamn show in LA.
Yeah. So that was actually a little bit different. But the Nashville thing was, I actually worked for a company, and doing stagehand. I was assistant to the touring techs. Yeah. And it was like, oh my God, I loved it. Like, it's funny because, well, had I not been in a relationship, Ronnie and I are there together. Had I not been in a relationship, first of all, because I'm very independent, and I do go and do a lot of things and travel on my own. Right. However, going off for months at a time is a different story. Had I not been in a relationship, and had I not had my period problems, I would be probably like an A+ tech to like somebody who I really, really, really wanted to work with. 'Cause I loved that shit, and I was super fucking good at it. Yeah. I went from entry-level position, bottom of the barrel, to working what they call show calls, which is the actual shows, and there's only usually 5 people that out of, I don't know, 150 on the daytime cruise that get show called. 5 people. Damn. And I was fucking on that shit like crazy. So yeah, bunch of really fun, great experiences. Oh God. I got to meet Chester. Nice. Lincoln Park. That's awesome. Was one of the most meaningful ones to me. Yeah. One of the funniest ones. I worked New Kids on the Block. Donnie hit on me. Yeah. Now you can straight out the gate too. They freaking came in the tunnel, and they got out, and he came up to me and was creepy.
I feel like stereotypically you think you dealt with a lot of creepy stuff, but do you find that most people were just normal people? Yeah. There's a lot of really great people. Yeah. I mean, just the things that you witness, Ringo Starr's son eating his giant bowl of plain pasta for his carbs before they go out on stage. Yeah, I sat at the table while he was doing that. That was trippy. Paul McCartney was one of the most courteous people, and he also had the best catering. Nice. He's vegan, and he does his entire catering vegan, and they had bought so much food. One of the perks of doing stage calls is you get to take home all the food that is left. Yeah. And the amount of food that would normally just go into the garbage is crazy. But most of the time it's divided out amongst the crew and stuff. And with that situation, I was
the only vegetarian.
Right.
None of the guys, and it's all guys that I work with.
Yeah.
None of them wanted anything to do with this food. So I got to bring it all home.
Yeah.
Like I ate for free for like months. He was amazing. I don't know, there was endless. I don't even remember all of them. Got to stand on side stage for Fleetwood Mac.
Nice.
Joan Jett, Rise Against. Joe remembered me from 88 Fingers Louie days at the Fireside.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that was trippy.
That's still my favorite show, is seeing 88 and the Bull Weevils at the Metro.
Oh, gosh.
That's good times.
Yeah. Oh, I loved 88 Fingers. And my niece was super into all of the, like, I don't know, they considered emo, like I don't know, what are they? Like the Blackville Brides and all of that.
Oh, yeah.
So I was able to get, like, you know, signatures and set lists and pics for her. So that was like proud auntie moment.
That's really cool.
So much stuff. But yeah, anyways. Okay, yeah. So the weird jobs. Okay, so yeah, anyways, we left Nashville finally, went to California thinking, oh, all of these LA people are gonna love my jewelry.
Yeah.
Because it was like I was really zoning in on like my style. It was getting super like edgy, and the Nashville people were side-eyeing it. They didn't know what to do with this shit. They were like, it didn't have like little leather cords and stamped inspirational phrases.
That's what I loved about it, is that usually stereotypically you would make it small and put a few things into a piece. Mm-hmm. Your stuff was like big, but it never felt gaudy.
Oh, thank you.
Like, who the fuck am I? But it never felt gaudy because I like big raw crystals.
Yeah,
like that's what I resonate with.
Yeah. So
it was awesome to see that worked into something like a necklace or a ring, and it just felt right.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. That's the cool thing, like, about being on social media, is because you don't, like, sometimes you feel like you're talking to nobody, or like you think that you know like who you're talking to, but you have no idea like where what its reach is. And that's magical, and you have to always like check yourself and think about that, because that can be an enriching tool, you know. But yeah, so I went to LA thinking like, oh, these people are gonna love this shit. Newsflash. People in LA don't give a fuck about anything unless like a celebrity endorses it.
Well, it's LA.
It's gross. But yeah, so I love LA. Not anymore. It's turned into a fucking shithole the last 2 years. The crime and shit is so bad. But I do love it. You know, I say the thing about it is LA can be like anything that you want it to be, because there is so many facets of it. And it's just, it's amazing and magical. But anyways, so I started trying to do like the same thing that I was doing in Nashville, doing like little like art gallery stuff. And it was just like, the receptiveness was just like dull, falling flat, and I was discouraged. So that's when I really started to go online and do Instagram. I was really late in the game on Instagram too. And it took off on Instagram. So I totally dropped the in-person LA stuff, thank God. And so the online started doing really, really, really good. And I was getting like some cool celebrity stuff. Like, I don't even remember. I like remembered the other day Alanis Morissette followed me.
Really?
I like said that to her. I'm like, yeah, so there was some Alanis. Oh, it was like some cat meme, and it was like an Alanis cat meme. And I was like, oh my God, that's right. Remember Alanis Morissette followed me? Yeah. That was prior to when I started to open my mouth and like started to input my personality. Yeah. Then things started to go downhill.
You see your numbers dropping?
Yes. Yes. So I have lost 6,000 followers.
Wow, really?
Over the last 3 years since COVID began, because my views are not necessarily the more, I don't know, mainstream, whatever.
I don't know that it's mainstream because I feel like that, again, stereotypically that crowd has a specific way that they think. And you don't fall into that. even with your like being against Western medicine,
Yeah.
like that kind of fits in. But I feel like
people love a box.
Yes.
Like they want
they
you
want
to be in a
Yeah.
box. They do not want you to
Yeah.
variate from that box.
Right.
If you do, they do not know what to do with it.
But they preach that everybody should be themselves.
Oh, yes.
And then the second you step out of that box, they're like, whoa, bud.
Yes. Yes. Oh my God, 100 million times %. That is like, oh my God, that makes me go crazy.
Yeah.
I will never understand. But yeah, so, oh yeah, I don't know where I should go from here.
Well, so it evolved, so you stopped doing jewelry, now you're basically just a content creator.
Okay, so content creator.
It hurts to say, right?
Bane of my existence.
Yeah, it just feels gross.
I hate it. So yeah, if we're following the career explanation real quick, because personal explanation is a whole different thing. Career explanation, I was doing jewelry online, doing really, really well. Yeah. However, it's still art.
Sure. And
you just you just ain't getting rich quick. No. And I like me some money. So, my non-capitalist self. Right. And I had some, I'm starting to get an abundance of crystals. So I was making crystal jewelry, if nobody has gotten that. Or not everybody's gotten that. I was getting an abundance of crystals that I had bought, but I didn't want to use in pieces and just were kicking around. So, and I had a lot of them. So rather than throwing them on this, this Instagram that I had that was more kind of lifestyle based, I was selling clothing, I was making the jewelry, but it was less about the crystals and more about the overall aesthetic and feeling of things. Sure. So I didn't want to bombard people and, freak them out that I wasn't staying in the box by just posting a whole bunch of just crystals, because people are like, what am I supposed to do with this? Right. They don't know. So I created a separate page. So my other page was Organic Punk, and I created Organic Punk Racks. And I started to be okay, I'm gonna post all these extra crystals on that page. If anybody wants to come over there, it's just interested in that. Well, that's when things went crazy. That blew up just batshit. And I started doing live sales because it was too much to just post on your feed. It was just flying out of there. Yeah. So yeah, the live sale feature had started up. That was right when I was one of the first people with crystals that was doing live sales. And that went from me kind of doing it as a side thing to literally 2 months later, it just taking over everything. Wow. I started to not do jewelry anymore just because the demand was so intense with just the crystals. And I was making really good money at that because there's no labor time involved and stuff. And you
get your own crystals for the most part.
And I source everything by hand all over the world.
You touch them all.
Yeah. Awesome. And then it got to the point where Ronnie quit his job. And we were just going hardcore on this. And that still to this day is what we are doing for a living now. I still do jewelry every once in a while. I have an amazing clientele of jewelry. Hello, jewelry people.
I say you commission
all of my organic punks. I don't anymore. Okay. I did way back in the Nashville and early LA days. I did do a little bit, and I would loan pieces out. In LA, I would loan pieces out for photo shoots and stuff. My stuff was documented and some neat stuff. So there were some cool things like that. I don't really give a fuck about that stuff, though. So I whatever.
It's cool, but sure, whatever.
It's cool, but it's not. It's fluff.
Yeah.
And it's all, the who's who crap.
That's one of those things I was looking at a portfolio. But who the fuck do you have a portfolio for? Yeah, right. Yeah, it's weird. So yeah, I still do jewelry, and actually, which if we get time here, I don't know. I have time. I just don't know where we're at here. When we moved to Mexico full time, which we're in the process of doing,
I'm going to start reinvigorating the jewelry part of things because I can spend time on that there and ship that out.
Yeah.
And what our business is actually going to look like now, which is how it's been since April, is I basically travel to gem shows all over the world and source my crystals, and then we have a home base in Tucson now, warehouse, and we do sales with that inventory from those shows. And then once those sales are done and the inventory is gone, then we up and leave. And this exact moment, that's where we just came from. Right. So we up and left to come here to spend a month in fabulous Illinois until we go to the next show, which will be in Denver. And the one that I just came from was a show in France in June that we just sold everything off.
Where do they hold it in France?
Oh my God, the most magical little like fairy tale village. Saint Marie. It's in the Alsace region.
Nice. I've only been to Paris, but I've loved France.
Yeah, I love it. It's a really, really cool place. This is my third time going to this show in particular. And I try to go every year, but COVID, threw a big old wrench in that.
So you guys you said you have a warehouse in Arizona.
Yes.
So when you're out there, you're just having everything shipped there? Or
yeah, so it will...
there?
No, we ship pallets.
Okay, so somebody's running your warehouse?
No, we do everything. So as our business, while we were in LA, as our business grew, I am trying, it's growing like crazy. And simultaneously, I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with, what am I doing with this?
Right.
I had no idea. It was just total curveball. I still am so weirded out by it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I do what for a living? This is fucking weird. So I analyzed things as they grew and talked, had a lot of conversations about, do we want to get employees? Do we want to get a, physical space? And ultimately, we decided to keep it just us. And we basically just really, really honed in on our all the efficiency of it. Got it running as tight and as smooth as possible to get our physical labor times down with it, and to make the most money, with the time, and just really worked on that. And just got it to be a really well-oiled machine. It just fucking worked like fucking crazy over the last... That's been 8 years.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing.
Since we started doing that. Yeah, full-time, like crazy. And then, things started to shift from there into what we are now. But yeah, so that was the business side of things, of how things have kind of went. And then on the personal side of things in LA, so weird. LA was very, very, very weird situation. And I don't know how a lot of it happened, but I'm not particularly sociable.
Sure.
And I definitely don't try to put myself into situations with, any type of celebrities or musicians. I don't give a fuck. We had this conversation, right? I think that was before we started recording, about how, when we were talking about the intentions of this podcast, and it is to say, fuck these fucking celebrities and idols and all of this.
People close to you.
There you go. There's incredible people close to you. And I'm such a huge believer in that. Also a believer in tooting your own horn and feeling proud about who you are and all of those things. Celebrities are overrated. So I definitely don't hold weight to that. And maybe that is why I sort of got into some of the situations that I did and had some of the friends that I've had.
Yeah.
Because they could feel that I didn't think anything of them.
Right.
I don't know. But yeah, I had some really, really great experiences, some surreal shit, I met a lot of people who you could call idols musically, you know, Tim Armstrong, you know.
Yeah, love Tim.
Fred Durst. I fucking love Fred Durst.
That might be a guilty pleasure.
Unpopular opinion. Yes, I love Fred.
We all loved him at one time.
I still love him. Yeah, just, I mean, endless people that were you know, interesting to, you know, be around. And I made some great actual friends. But ultimately, being around in the music scene in LA was a learning experience. Not that I needed to learn that they are not, you know, special people or whatever. I already knew that. It was more so, and this, you know, I don't know, this is cynical and maybe a Debbie Downer, but the music industry is such a farce. Like, it's bullshit.
Sure.
It is just gaslighting garbage. And unfortunately, that was something that, you know, you kind of, you know, have the, you know, you could sit and say, oh yeah, you know, it's just a bunch of gaslighting garbage. But no, like, when you're like seeing it like in person and you're seeing what these people are doing, and I'm not talking about people that are trying to make it. Right. I'm talking about people that are like have made it, like people that are big. Yeah. And you're looking at their behavior, and it's vomit inducing to me. Because it's fake to a certain degree, and not, you know, of course there's exceptions to this rule, but a lot of it is super fucking fake, and it is gaslighting, and it's extreme gaslighting, and they do it so intensely because if they were to admit that they were gaslighting somebody, they'd have to, like, you know, for it's acceptance, and it's you know, I think so many people in general, but I think a lot of times people that try to become somebody, you know, I'm using air quotes here, you know, they maybe have self-esteem problems. Sure. Or, you know, they're trying to be validated, which isn't a bad, you know, being validated isn't a bad thing. I'm not saying that. Yeah. But, you know, once you kind of just start searching and fiending for it, you become addicted to the validation.
Well, there's a difference between a healthy, like we were just talking about with your endometriosis. That was a healthy validation.
Yes.
It doesn't, it's not something that you hang your hat on or anything like that. It's something you knew, and somebody was finally like, yeah. It's different when you start talking about the realm of popularity or gathering fame and stuff where it's like, okay, now you're almost like some succubus.
Yes, absolutely. And I can see that, you know, you want that validation, and then you finally get it. All of that, kosher, yes. A+, I'm behind it. But then it becomes an addiction, and they have to constantly get fed that. They can't be alone. They can't be by themselves.
Well, that's the ego,
They
right?
have to,
And it has to constantly be refilled. Yeah. Because you can't, and at that point, you can't sit alone with your thoughts, because then you start being like, I'm a bullshit. I don't belong here. This shouldn't have happened. Yeah. That's why I'm always like, you're not anything. You're never going to be anything. And I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just that no matter where I go, I'll have that mentality of just being a normal guy. Like, there's some stars like I can look at, I have no idea, but like when I look at a Keanu Reeves or a Brendan Fraser, and I'm like, these are level-headed dudes that just seem cool. Do I know? Don't know. Right. I wouldn't want to know, to be honest. Yeah. But they seem like they could give a fuck less about the Hollywood thing, and they just want to do their thing. Yeah. And that's awesome. But everybody else wants to smell their own farts.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few people that, of course, that are genuine or love the art for the art. Yeah. Absolutely. But, oh man, the mass majority, it's like jaw dropping. Yeah, I mean, even like people that you would think would be grounded, you're like, oh wow, okay then, you know. So I personally think knowledge is power. Any type of knowledge is power.
Yeah.
You know, even the ones that is really, really, really hard to digest, it's still, I would always rather know. Always.
Yeah.
Always, 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 no matter how hard it is to see or face it, I want to know. So I think that, I mean, it was a really valuable experience for me, and I was happy to see it for what it is.
Was that a catalyst to kind of get out of there? Or was it just time to go in general?
It was not a catalyst, because, I mean, that wasn't like... Oh, yeah, and I think it's funny, too, because Ronnie, the musician, yeah. he could have cared less about any of it. Right. Like, I mean, at this point, Ronnie is, like, sitting in his jam room and making noises out of, like, I don't know, like a toothpick and a spring. Right. You know, like, he's, like, truly, like, in his little, like, artistic musical realm. And realm, and all the words that you realize that you're not sure if you're saying, you've said correctly your whole life. And I am like more of a social being, and more so I love to witness life, you know, yeah. So I'm always like, you know, why not try? Like, let's just, go for it. Let's do that. Yeah. That invitation. Sure. Doesn't matter what it is. I'm going for it. So, you know, he was like, he could have cared less about any of it. And I don't remember my point of bringing this up. But yeah, so, I mean, it wasn't either of our, like, the whole music scene thing was not either of our purposes for being there. Yeah. I mean, it was, like, on the flip side, don't get me wrong. I mean, it was fucking cool. Like, some of the experiences... It
was a great adventure.
...that I had was just really amazing. And I have made some great, long-lasting friends that have, you know, most, like I said, most of those people, if you're not in front of them and if you're not, you know, boosting them up or doing something for them, the minute that you walk away, you will be forgotten. Sure. You know, and I get that. They're there to do their job, and that's keeping themselves relevant.
Right. And they're living in their now.
Yes, absolutely.
Your now is something else.
So, you know, no judgment, but it's just totally the way that it is. But yeah, I have continued to have some really, really great long-lasting friends, which is very heartwarming because you know firsthand experience what they could be doing instead of continuing on a relationship with little old me who isn't having anything to do with a lot of that now. Essentially, they're getting nothing out of it anymore. So that's really cool. And also another great lesson in silver lining that there is good out there, Tim.
Go. See, we're going to turn you into an optimist.
Oh my God. So the reason that we finally left, first of all, I will always leave. I love leaving. I love moving on. Yeah. It doesn't matter if where I am is the most perfect place and thing. Right. I will still leave.
But it doesn't sound like you're looking for somewhere perfect to like plant roots and like stay in. You're looking to experience the place for a while and then experience the next one.
Yes, that's me. So it was time to leave there. And simultaneously...
You said you were there for 10 years?
We were in Southern California altogether for 8 years.
Okay, so it was a long time.
Yeah, and we just moved just this last April, so this is fresh.
That's right.
But we moved from LA, and COVID happened in 2020.
Somewhere,
Yeah, so March 2020, I think. We moved from LA in July of 2020. So, the overall, just like it being time for something different, and things started to go sideways in LA, and it started to get fucking real crazy. There started to be a lot of like increase in violence and riots, and the whole George Floyd thing happened. And, you know, where we live, I mean, there's, you know, storefronts and everything right there of mom and pop businesses who are, you know, getting their fucking shit, you know, broken into.
Smashed up,
and yeah, like, I mean, it was like getting to be ridiculous, and we're like, no, we're tired. We're not. We don't want to be gangsters anymore.
We're middle-aged now.
So we moved down to San Diego in the mountains, and for 3 something years, we lived on a 6-acre avocado farm.
Wow.
Yeah. And the most magical house with this beautiful in-ground pool across the back. Huge house, 3,500 square foot house. It was amazing. Still only 35 minutes from the coast. Yeah, it was awesome. And then I did what I do, and I said, oh, I think it's time to go. And Ronnie wanted to murder me.
I'll bet.
Because he probably could have stayed there forever. He loved it. Buddy loved it. But yeah, so pre-COVID, we were actually planning on leaving LA and moving to Europe.
Oh.
We were going to move to south of Spain, like right on the Mediterranean, and I was going to shift my business into doing, like, there's like a whole bunch of like different gem shows in Spain, and we were going to do.
Do you feel you can kind of take that anywhere?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely places that are more prolific for, you know, conducive to having gem shows or whatever, but you can take it anywhere. So yeah, we were going to do like the whole European gem show circuit, and then pop off to the show in Japan or whatever, and it was going to be amazing, and experience living in Europe for a while. And then when COVID happened and borders started to get shut down, restrictions started to happen. And this is the point where some people may consider this to turn into a political conversation.
We'll try to steer it away from it.
However, I don't think that it necessarily is. I don't know. It never, like, you could talk about all of these things before, and it was never political.
Sure.
But suddenly it has definitely gotten political.
I think
and
it
that's
goes
weird.
back to what we mentioned earlier about people identifying themselves as an idea instead of having a personality and their own thoughts.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yep. So, I'm, you know, as I mentioned, I am an anarchist.
Sure.
I'm an actual anarchist. That means I do not vote.
Yep.
I do not believe in the governmental system. I do understand all the technicalities of, you know, the local, you know, voting, all of that. I get it. Yada, 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 yada. But I just, you know, all of that, and I do not do what people tell me to do, unless it's something that I already wanted to do.
Right.
And one of the things that I did not do, and I have never done, is take a vaccine. So I opted out, and like I said, with the border restrictions and all kinds of restrictions that created for me, I started to be like, oh, fuck.
Right.
Like, I need to start shaping my life and my business so that I can continue to do what the fuck I want to do as much as possible and not be restricted by the government or whatnot.
Right.
So that's when we decided, okay, can't move to Europe, because if we, you know, are living in Spain and they close the borders, I can't fucking buy no fucking crystals.
Yeah.
So we nixed that idea, and then we started to explore other options, and that included everything from moving to other areas of the United States, blah, 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 yuck, to, you know, other countries.
Yeah.
So
also, just to touch on what you said too, is because I want to mention it just because, like, my opinion is garbage anyways, but everybody has to make their own decision, right? Which is fine. I am also against those things. I don't like I do think there needs to be some sort of structure in place that because some people need to be taken care of. And if we're as a people willing to take care of those people as well, with no problem,
right.
And you taking some of your money and me taking some of my money and giving it to these people that don't have money so they can have money too, that actually need that help, that's different. But otherwise, there has to be some structure that takes care of people that need help when they need help.
Yes.
And to me, that's different than a government as it currently exists.
Yes.
Because the problem I have is lifelong politicians, no term limits, and anybody being able to hand them money, and now you have to just have favors in your back pocket, right? Like it's a broken system. So I wouldn't say that my goal, what I would love to see, not my goal, I'm not doing anything. But what I would love
Don't get me wrong, there's no action being taken here.
Yeah. What I would love to see is the whole system fall apart to dust and be rebuilt.
Yeah.
Now, that in a country this big, that would throw chaos for 100 years.
Yes.
But eventually it would be better.
Hopefully.
Presumably.
Yes.
But right now, even like I mentioned a dozen times, we're in the infancy of change because we're starting to see these younger politicians that are smarter, that make more sense. They're still stuck in this game, but eventually they're going to change the rules. And like even when you see somebody like Bernie Sanders, like here's a guy, is he problematic? Sure. But does he have better ideas? Yes. Is he way ahead of everybody
Better
else?
than the bad.
That's what I mean. It's like Lewis Black said it the best when he's like, you've got a party with no ideas and a party with bad ideas. Like you can interchange those however you want. But I didn't want to get the vaccine either. I did it only because my mom asked me to because she felt unsafe. And I'm not going to argue with my mom. It's my mom. So, but I told her when it happened, I'm like, here's what's going to happen. In 6 months, they're going to tell you need another fucking shot. And then in 6 months, you're going to need another fucking shot. And at the end of the day, all of it's going to tie into a flu shot that I've never gotten in my life because I don't want one. And sure enough, I did the first two because she asked me to. And I was like, okay. And then when that third one, she was, you got to get your third shot. I'm like, nope, this is where I draw the line. I told you this is going to happen. And I'm not fucking doing it. Also, I did your fucking thing, and I've gotten COVID twice. So, I'm not playing anymore. I don't care enough about it to, like, want to argue anything.
Yeah.
Because to me, the whole thing is broken.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, so I'd rather argue about ways to fix things. And I also do think that certain things that we politicize are not political arguments.
100%.
When you're keeping kids in cages and separating families, that's not a political idea that we have to argue about. No, that's wrong.
It's
I'm not
humanitarian, moral issue.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
Like, we need to argue about where should we spend the budget.
Exactly.
That's political stuff.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I just wanted to throw that out there because I do agree with you. We might get there a little differently, but we're on the same page.
Yeah.
So good. Now you make it.
No, yeah, it's good. We need to say these things.
Right.
You know,
kind of
like, come on, like, really, like, we're like tiptoeing around this shit. You know,
yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Because I've never voted either. I've never believed in somebody. There's people that I hope win, but one of the things that breaks my heart is I'm a middle-aged white man. I'm gonna be fine, and I think that fucking sucks. But that's the reality that I live in at the moment. I wish it was different, and maybe one day it will be, but I have not seen anything that's come along where I'm like, this is going to shake it up, this is going to change it, this is going to make it better for somebody else.
Yeah.
To me, it's garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh. I know it's a lot.
Yeah, it is insane. I don't know how we've gotten to this point of crap.
Because we're talkers and we just wanted to...
No, I don't mean us. I mean all of them, Tim.
Oh, okay, yeah.
All of them.
It is them.
For everybody that can't see us right now, I'm waving my finger around like a mad woman.
The miming does well on the podcast.
Yeah. You guys don't know that I'm waving my finger around?
I can hear it in your voice.
Yeah. It's just, the movement that goes along with that voice. Hello.
So after deciding, all right, Europe's probably out, You guys eventually settle on Mexico.
We settle on Mexico. So the reasons for that is, first of all, we might just all be fucked anyways. Probably, right. I don't know. According to Tim and his optimism, we're not going to be fucked. Everything is going to go in the up and up.
Even with that optimism, we're only one bad day away from all being dead.
Yes.
That's what fucks me up, not for nothing. If the sun hiccups wrong, we're gone. Yeah. And all of this has been pointless anyways.
Man, yeah.
So it always makes me laugh when we argue about this stuff like it's real.
Yeah.
Like, the universe is way more than what we're doing.
Oh, yeah, or yes. So, yeah, the reasons... Yeah, we had to be as analytical about it as possible, and our ideas were based on history through COVID. You could always, throughout the whole damn thing, drive across that border without being vaccinated.
Right.
So that was a big deal for me for two reasons. Family. Sure. And for work. I could continue to come back here and do my sourcing and selling, and then, tally-ho back to Mexico. So that was pretty much the biggest reasons. Yeah. Was the accessibility factor. Other reason was, obviously, it's cheaper to live in Mexico than a lot of other places. So third reason, and that will tie into that your statement there, was self-sustainability, self-responsibility. Two of the most important things to me, along with money, because money can equal freedom, as does those other two things. Freedom is my single most favorite thing in the entire world. Yeah. It is what is most important to me. It is why I am self-employed. And almost every decision that I have made in my life has been based around the question of, will this choice that I'm making right now guide me to having more freedom or less? And I'm to that more. I'm going more.
Right.
And so especially with everything happening over the last few years and the government's trying to take away, certain rights and, all this. I mean, they're trying to make gardening illegal and, all this.
Can't gather rainwater.
Yeah, crazy ass shit. Mexico is a rebel. Yeah. And it's a rebel in bad ways. Sure. But it is a rebel in good ways. And, I wish that I had that meme. I'll try to look for it while I'm talking here because it's amazing. And I say, when people ask me, like, oh my God, why Mexico? I'm like, this right here. And I probably am not going to be able to find it. I also have two phones. I have a personal phone and a work phone. And unfortunately, they do not stay separated. They've just both become everything phones. So yeah, good luck finding something. But it basically says, like, in Mexico, you're on your own. Like, I mean, it's a fun little meme about that. You are responsible for yourself in all the good ways and in all of the, what some people may think, bad ways. Sure. And I would much rather take that gamble than have the government's thumbprint on me. Like, it tends to be increasingly in the U.S. Right. And Europe, for that matter, and Canada and Australia. So we ended up finding a community development that is pitched as, like, eco-friendly, self-sustainable, off-grid, basically made up of alternative-minded people. However, they have a bit of, like, when I say off-grid, I do not mean that it is going to be a bunch of, like, hippies and tents and shit. Like, no, like
these people in Alaska or
it's
live off the
luxury homes. I mean, it's anything and everything that you would want and can get in the U.S. It's just created to be able to be off grid.
Right.
So we
and
will
mindful.
be, and all of those, those wonderful, attributes that you hope that, people are going to have, are also kind of, pitched. Oh my God, it's such an interesting place. So we are currently building. Our house should be finished next month or October at the latest. Hopefully not.
Now, you're having the house built, or are you doing this? So much of your story is you two doing this.
We are not hammering nails.
Okay, you're having some building.
Absolutely not. Yeah. I want it to exist.
Were you involved in the blueprinting, or?
Oh God, yeah.
Okay.
Oh my God.
You designed the house.
My Virgo was kicking in hardcore.
I'm sure that's what the builders say. Is like this Virgo.
Yeah, I mean, I never thought that I would be building a house, and actually, if the world wasn't going the direction that it was, I will forever happily be a renter because I like to not have strings.
I've been getting an argument with friends of mine because I bought a house a while back, and after 2.5 years sold it, and I'm like, I would rather rent than own. I just whatever you want to do, fine, but I'd rather rent.
Well, and the idea of the American dream is just not the same anymore.
Right.
The logistics of things are not working the same. So it used to be a shoe-in.
Multiple housing crashes.
Yeah.
And people are still like, it's still a good investment. Like, I guess. Until it's not.
Exactly. It can be if you get lucky or have fucking a crystal ball or whatever. But I mean, there definitely is people that can make money off of. I mean, I hope that I make money off of this Mexico house someday, but I'm not betting on it. I'm just purely. It's for us to be able to be like, this is where we can go, have a good amount of control over ourselves and our property, and be able to exist no matter what is going on elsewhere.
Right.
That's the hope, and, anything can happen, but that this place should be able to provide that for us. So the development team is amazing. Like, they provided basic blueprints that you could literally be like, just, build that.
Right.
And they've done all the due diligence on their teams and everything. They do all of that. You pay for that.
Sure.
But I will gladly pay for that because I don't have the time or energy to be on the ground in Mexico trying to find.
Do you mind disclosing, just for shits and grins, how much is that costing to build that house?
Okay, so let me describe a little bit about it to give you context of what you would get for the money.
Okay.
So, again, basic blueprints to start with, but their basic blueprints are really fucking cool.
Yeah.
We're talking a garden inside the house that you can put a tree in, and shit, inside vaulted ceilings. Ooh, cool. It's they're luxury to start with.
Yeah.
But fully customizable. I'm talking, you can take rooms away, you can add rooms, you can move rooms around. I mean, it's almost like you're starting from scratch. So you have the ability to do all of that, and they will execute it for you. Along with that, totally fucking modern, which is my dream. If I could literally, live in some crazy, concrete, abstract, minimalist shit, that's what I love. So that the lots are small. That is a downfall. Brownie and I just came off of living on 6 acres. We're having neighbor panic attacks, full on. But whatever, it is what it is. We're all supposed to be a community.
Right.
It will definitely get a fuck off mat for my front door.
You're gonna be the one.
One of I know, right? One of the Halloween ones where you step on it and it screams at you. Yeah. So total modern, really, really nice, finishes, quartz countertops that are black, pool, all kinds of cool shit like that. Plus, you get some landscaping. You get 10 fruit trees. And then there's the amenities of the place, which is going to eventually be like in the States, like subdivision would be like a clubhouse type thing.
Yeah.
But we're going to have, spaces in there for like holistic practitioners to come in. Eventually, like in the far, far future, they want to open it up to like being a treatment center for like holistic, like cancer treatments or something like, and they're going to have like a few hotel rooms type things in that clubhouse for people to be able to come and stay and do long-term like healing, sort of like a healing retreat.
Very cool.
So eventually it will morph into that as well. And then there's like community orchards and gardens and ponds fully stocked with tilapia with the intention to be for us to eat.
Yeah.
The world goes to shit. We can exist on everything that's there.
Right.
So all that is kind of like, and more is in place, for us. But like, I don't even know how many square foot our houses ended up being, so I can't like toss that number out. But 2-bedroom, living room, kitchen, dining room, 2 bathrooms, basement, which is going to be Ronnie's jam room, multiple outdoor living areas, and 2 parcels of land, looking at like 400,000 USD.
Wow.
So
still
it's
getting a shitload though.
Something that in the States, of course, depending on where you're at, like, I mean, in California, that would be a $3 million house.
Right.
Hey,
even here, 300,000 for like a single family home.
Yeah, wow.
Like,
I'm out of touch with that. Yeah.
I could be making stuff up. Who knows? I'm just some dickhead who said something. But it sounded right.
But no, I mean, it's definitely cheaper. However, the exchange rate has, the gap is closing.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, and then the living costs are just significantly less. Like, when we moved from California in April, we went straight to, we moved our business to Tucson.
Yeah.
Set up our warehouse there, and then we moved ourselves to Mexico. And we were in Mexico from April until I went to France in June, and then finally we came back to Tucson in July last month. So yeah, we were there during that time, working on the house, like doing all the in-person things and like getting life stuff.
Right.
And living, we were just living. We were living in the town that is outside of where our house will be. And, well, I guess where our house is outside of the town. And like going to like the farmer's market, everything's organic by default.
Sure.
And
different regulations and rules also they don't have. Monsanto doesn't exist now.
Yeah, well, it's funny because it does, but they ship it to the U.S.
Yeah. America, this world is hilarious.
It's upside down backwards.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I will get like 4 bags of produce, and we're talking like a big like pint of blueberries, like a big bag of mangoes, like expensive stuff.
Right.
Like a big package of sprouts, like sprouted alfalfa seeds. And it's $16.
Right.
4 huge bags. Like we're talking like, the reusable like tote bags, all organic. I mean, it's amazing. So yeah, essentially we can live on less, which is my smarter, not harder thinking when I started, like I said, to think about freedom.
Yeah.
What will afford me to have more freedom? And that means freedom away from work as well.
Yeah.
Shit hits the fan. Economy is worsening. People start cutting out hobbies,
right,
which includes crystal collecting.
Yeah.
And, I ain't going and working for somebody. So we have been diligent about saving. We bought our house. It's completely paid for with cash. We do not have any sort of loan or mortgage down there. and I can buy beans and legumes and whatever, buy bulk, dried stuff, and grow the mass majority of our stuff. Anything else, we go to the farmer's market, $16 for like enough for 2 weeks for vegetarian, as much as vegetarians eat.
Yeah.
And sustain. You know,
it's insane to hear about.
That's
like, it's
the plan.
incredible. Like, that's awesome. 'Cause I was about to say, like,
and
what?
Fuck everything else.
I was about to get into, like, all right, what's next, and you kind of basically just hit it
Sorry,
right there.
I just
No,
went.
that's good. You knew it was coming. Because that's. But I gotta think too, like, thinking. First off, what's on the horizon is incredible. You've had an incredible story already, like, and been all over the world and done amazing things, and continued amazing things. What do you think? What are you eyeballing past Mexico?
Oh God.
I know you've got at least an idea.
You know, it's weird because I kind of don't know. It's largely dependent upon the world, what happens.
And maybe not even living, like, just, like, what would your next trip be? Like, if you're like, I'm going to go spend 3 months here.
Well, the thing is I, with work, and this is part of my freedom thing, is I have created a career to where I can travel to all of these destinations for work,
Right,
aka on the works dollar.
Yeah.
So this is by design.
And then write that all off.
You write it all off. Yeah. And it all evaporates
Yeah.
because our income is high enough to be able to completely erase it.
Yeah.
So I do which can be very irritating. I create most of our travels around the work travels because
Right.
it just fucking makes sense.
It does.
I mean, it's kind of nauseating now to go and do, like, here right now. I'm like, there ain't no gem show around this bitch I can, like, tie in so I can write this month off.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's irritating to, like, travel and know that, like, you're paying out of pocket, you know?
Yeah.
So, but we still haven't been to, like, Japan.
Yeah. I always wanted to go to Japan.
So we'd like to go to the gem show there. But I don't know. I mean, I literally would go anywhere and do anything.
Yeah.
What haven't I done that I would really want to do?
The problem is you spent 40-some years doing whatever you wanted.
I did do I did do a lot of what I wanted. I definitely did. And I have traveled a lot. But like I said, I mean, I just want to visit everywhere.
Yeah, there's so much amazing culture out there. Like, it's awesome when you can go and just immerse yourself in it.
It's so powerful, and it should be mandated to, like, well, we won't want that because that's government overreach. But you know, it's like there should definitely, like, some countries, like, they like promote, you know, after.
Yeah.
You know, you get out of high school, you go and you do your traveling, you know, because it's so important. Through COVID was especially mind-blowing and a great example of this. So you're sitting in the U.S., California, Southern California, you know, mind you, one of the worst, well, depending on how you look at it. Sure. Some people might have been like, I'm in the safest place.
Yeah.
I'm in the worst
looked at as progressive
place. Right.
So.
Yeah. So for me, that's better. It's more appropriate. For me, it was like one of the worst places to be because the control and fear mongering was so strong.
Yeah.
I never stopped traveling during COVID. It was actually pretty amazing because, you know, you got to just, like, half empty flights and everything.
Yeah, they probably got so cheap and were so empty.
Yeah, it was great. But I had limitations with going out of the country. But within the country, I fucking traveled like crazy. And even within the country, the difference in reactions, mindsets, everything was so powerful to see. And it was very important, and I wish that everybody could have experienced that, because I go from being in California, everybody's terrified. Right. You know, everybody, like, you know, wearing a mask in their car by themselves type of idea.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, people are terrified. The government is just putting the terrifiedness in people.
Yeah, just fueling the fire.
I mean, it was intense in California. And you go and you travel to other places, and not even like red states. I mean, I did go to both Florida and Texas during that time. I think I went to Florida 3 times during those 2 years because my nephew was living there. But like, I went to blue states as well, and people were just like existing. Yeah. Purely just they were existing.
It blew my mind.
Going about life.
Because out here in the suburbs, nothing changed. But like out at my tattoo artist is in Chicago, and I would go to Chicago, and Chicago was like a ghost town. And I'm like, this is because usually you think it'd be the opposite. Like this big town is not going to shut down, but instead the big town was like, we're inside and we're terrified, and the rest of us around Chicago are like, we've got shit to do. Yeah. It was crazy.
Yeah, that close. Yeah, to have that difference. Yeah. Is, like in LA, LA is how you're saying Chicago was. And then, of course, you literally travel to Orange County, which is adjoining. And it's just like nothing. No, nobody's, or people are trying not to worry about it at least. There's still a lot of the governmental stuff. But the people were like, whatever, fuck it. And it's like, but that is obviously an inflated, example.
Sure.
But just the traveling to so many different other countries and experiencing their cultures, and then letting it just like seep into your own life and making your own life and your own self, for that matter, who you want to be. You're not just being the person that Oswego imposed upon you. Right. You're saying, oh, you know what? I really enjoy that point of view that, fucking people of Italy have. Yeah. That hobby sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? Like, just the different tiny things and different large things, and being like, you know what? I want to think a little bit more like that mindset.
Just to acknowledge that there's other mindsets out there.
Yeah.
I feel like it would be very healthy for a lot of people that don't leave their block.
Yeah.
Their whole lives.
And I feel like people are like, oh, of course that people live differently and whatever. Sure. It's like, but no, like you have to like let that shit like, permeate into you and like really understand it. Yeah. In the depths of yourself, like. And it creates, I feel like, so many more possibilities. Yeah. It just opens up different thought processes and lines that you just otherwise would.
Plus, I'm a big proponent too of like when I travel, I'm not really interested in touristy stuff. Yeah. Like when I went to Germany, I was like, my friends that live there are like, oh, we'll take you to this and this and this, and I'm like, I don't care. Yeah. I can see all that online. Like, that's cool. Like, it was cool to see the stuff in Paris. Like, that was the first time I had, like, a genuine, like, emotional reaction to seeing stereotypical things. Right. But, like, in Germany, it was just like, no, let's just live, like, what you guys would do. Yeah. And I just want to hang out and be part of that. Yeah, just walk the streets, go to the bars, like, whatever it is, like, let's just get into that. Yep. And I feel like I had the best time just doing that. But I think you're right. Like, we need to stay focused on being who we are, allowing ourselves to even grow to be who we want to be, and stop living in this idea of who society wants us to be. Yeah. 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 I feel like we're good. I feel like we came to the end.
Did we really?
I feel.
How long did we just talk for?
2.5 hours, which is absurd.
Yeah, is it?
But I feel like it took, like, we just got to the end of the story. Gosh. I think that it's been amazing. And I feel like that's as positive of a note as we're going to get from your cynical self.
Hey, now.
I do think that you're secretly optimistic, but
I don't know.
You're realistic because you see where we are.
Definitely.
And I'm looking at where we're going. That's not, to me, that's like the only difference.
Look at where we're going too, but the problem is I think where we're going is a fucking shit show.
Yeah, I think you have to wade through a shit show.
I hope it's not. Yeah. Because I really love my freedom.
Yeah.
I hope it's not.
Well,
It's not.
The idea of, well, you probably have more freedom leaving America.
Right now,
You're
at
going
least,
to
yes.
dual citizenship then, right?
Oh, yes, absolutely. But yeah, so we have one of the things that we did in this April to July timeframe was we got our residency visas.
Nice.
So we are official residents of Mexico, which basically means we can go there and not have to leave if we don't want to, which is freedom.
Yeah, that feels
That's
good.
power. Yeah, so that is amazing and was very, very important to me.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, I don't know. I don't remember where I was going with that. So
It was that was it. I think just that it's awesome dual citizenship, being able to kind of come and go.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's been an interesting life, from being so secluded in the little Oswego countryside, and I definitely have done, like when they say, like, would your childhood self be proud?
Yeah.
Yes. I would be like, oh yeah, hell yeah. You know, I think that I would get a little devilish twinkle in my eye if I knew, you know,
that's
what
actually,
my future
I want to
held.
end there because that's an incredibly powerful thing you just said, that it just came and went so fast, but that your childhood self would be proud of where you are and what you've done.
Yeah.
It's fucking beautiful. Like, thank you so much.
And I actually do want to. I started with a hijack, and I'll end with a hijack.
Great. Fuck me, right?
Because that's what.
No, please.
No, then you can do your thing.
Okay, great.
No, I would like to take this opportunity, since I feel like so many of, you know, what I would consider, air quote, my old friends, not that they're not current friends, but they're definitely my old friends, are, you know, may listen to this. Or they may not, because they're like, oh, fuck that bitch.
I name them all the person, so they'll be like, Liz Rediger, gross.
Actually, I have well, yeah, I guess it doesn't matter. Nothing. Side note, never mind. Yeah, you know, I talked a little bit about how I was definitely the weirdo reject, like, you know, child, growing up feeling different from everybody. And there obviously came a point in time to where I found you group of people, and I really appreciate all of you. You know, I was a little bit older, and I think that I gravitated away from people my age because, oh my God, my age people in Oswego were fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, they were like crazy, like, you know.
I think it's 1 or 2 years under you is where they started getting great.
Yeah, so it's like when I stumbled, I don't know how, upon like your circle of people, you guys were a little hippie for me, I have to admit, but it was good for me, and I liked it because you guys were kind. You did good things. We partied.
Sure. But
it wasn't abusive. It wasn't totally, you know, it wasn't bad, you know, it was good fun partying. And, everybody, for the most part, was very accepting of me. And I just really appreciate that. And even though I don't maintain contact with a lot of people, I still think about a lot of people, and I definitely still value the friendships and love and acceptance and so much warm and fuzzy situations and conversations and memories. So to everybody, you know, that may listen to this, thank you. I appreciate you all. And that includes you too, Tim.
Thanks. Yeah, that's awesome. This
mic pass.
Thanks for having my show back. This group is made of love first. You know, everybody there's little ins and outs and whatever, headbutts here and there, but it still maintains that as its focus. And even when you're out, you're still part of the group. Like, you can reach out to anybody and it would be amazing. Like, you would pick up right where you left off. I'm always one of the ones, I love when somebody gets out. Like, not in a negative way whatsoever, but when somebody's like got their own thing going on, they've got their life, and they're doing their thing, I'm like, that's my favorite. Yeah. Like, I you know.
Yeah, you're not like, fuck them that they're not still coming around.
Yeah, no way, man. Like, you know, everybody's older, they've got their family, they've got their kids, their wives, like, doing their own thing, they're around when they can be, or they haven't been around for 20 years. They're still part of the family. Like,
I mean, and that's the freaky, like, I feel like your group of people is like, unfortunately, again, my not so optimistic self, I feel like it's like a freak situation. Like, everybody is very kind. Like, they really are. I mean, I really feel like it is very unique and special. Like, and how we all came from this area.
Right.
And so many people turned out to be the same essence, you know, is really weird. But you know, bravo everybody, bravo.
Yeah, that's where the love comes, because we are all very different. If you dig enough, if you dig enough, you'll find stuff where it's like, oh, I didn't know that about you. Yeah. But I don't want to get deeper. I just want to be able to love you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll leave it on love. And that's it. That was what you said was amazing. Thank you for that. Thank you for letting me come out here. And thank Ronnie as well. Thank you guys for finding the time. I'm so fucking excited for the next chapter of your guys' life. And done.